be careful what you say, I guess. I want to welcome everybody to coming and taking the time on the Sunday evening to discuss a further interest here on membership growth, membership building, how we build our clubs in terms of numbers and attracting new members. And last time I spoke, we had talked about different approaches of things that we can do specifically to building our clubs. And at that time, I believe I mentioned something called value selling, and I blithely said, well, I'll talk about this at some future point. And my friends, the time has come. I was very fortunate in Chicago at the International Convention to have about 4 hours of training on value selling. And it's a very simple concept. It's a little complicated in certain things. And so we are actually going to have 2 sessions on this. We are having this kind of underlying base tonight, and I believe it's October 14th. We'll get into some of the nitty-gritty and specifics. And I want to tell you, I came away so impressed with what this method can offer us in terms of building our membership and our growth that I'm actually very excited about employing it and sharing it with all of you, and hoping that together, using these methods, we will see our clubs swell and grow to wondrous new numbers. Actually, we're happy if we just get 20 some of the time. Let me see here. I just ran across this evening before I came on, and I thought it was such an apropos statement. It's a slight deviation here from what we're going to be talking about, but George Bernard Shaw may or may not have said this, and that is that the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. That is just food for thought as we begin. Last time I spoke here on membership growth, I concluded by pointing out that it all boiled down to you. Each and every individual, every member of Toastmasters, if you want your clubs to be strong and you want them to have the good numbers that make strong clubs, it is up to you. So those of you who have taken the time to participate tonight have obviously a vested interest in this. And I wanted to move on into what is value selling. First of all, we should know what is value. And the dictionary definition is the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. And certainly that's what we're talking about here, is the importance, the worth, and the usefulness of Toastmasters. Warren Buffett, somebody who knows about selling, buying and selling actually, but what he points out here is that the price is what you pay, value is what you get. And it's value that we need to be selling when we are trying to get non-Toastmasters to become Toastmasters. I want to take just a second and make a little bit of an apology here on this word selling, because if we think of ourselves as salesmen, it sometimes is a stretch for those of us who have no sales experience other than being on the buying end. And the first thing that comes to mind, of course, is a used car dealer. And that's not a very positive image of a salesman. And if you look around, I'm sure many of you know many fine people in your lives and probably in your Toastmasters clubs who are indeed decent human beings who happen to be salesmen for their profession. If you have any aversion to the thought of yourself as a salesman, paint a positive image of this. And I am using the word selling tonight. It does sound perhaps a little bit crass, but it actually is what we are doing when we are trying to get somebody to join our program. So what is value selling or value-based selling? And it's threefold here. The process of understanding and reinforcing the reasons why what you, or in this case, Toastmasters offers, why this has some particular value to the person you're talking to. And through expressing value and using this technique, you actually are much more likely to get somebody to become a member of a club. I think we can pause for a minute here on that one. And I was having a discussion with somebody earlier this week, and that person, who's a very esteemed Toastmaster and somebody I respect, said, why are we trying to tell people that Toastmasters is fun? And he made the point that instead of trying to get somebody to join your club by saying it's fun, what you really want to tell them is, wow, this has really helped me. I became a better speaker, a better presenter, a better communicator, and I got a raise on my job or a promotion. And this is far more valuable to try to sell to somebody than, oh, it's fun, oh, it's a nice time, oh, you know, we have a picnic in the summer, we go out for a drink afterward. So we all individually need to make a list of what we have gotten from Toastmasters ourselves. And if you've gotten some fun out of it, God bless you, that's wonderful. Don't be afraid to mention it, but it is not the prime attraction. It is not our prime focus. The last point of the value-based selling is that you're based on the value, of course, of the offer, of what Toastmasters can give. And the cost actually is irrelevant. We offer, in fact, a bargain basement program. And it's not something that is going to deter somebody from joining Toastmasters to say, nobody's going to say, oh, I can't afford $45. And in fact, the converse can be true. If you start preaching about the price, somebody might say, $45, that's a couple of movie tickets. Gee, there can't be much to this. I think there's a thing in marketing that sometimes if you have a product that isn't selling, in fact, instead of lowering the price, you raise it and it gives more cachet. We are not in the position to raise the price, and obviously I don't think any of us would want that, but I urge you not to sell the fact that it's $45 plus $20 plus whatever your club dues are. That is not a great selling point. What is the selling point is the value. And that comes back to what I was saying a couple minutes ago of assessing what you have gotten from Toastmasters. How has it helped you? And so the next point I wanted to make is, in terms of this value, although I said you need to figure out what the value is to you, when you're trying to explain the value to somebody else, i.e. you're trying to sell them a membership in Toastmasters, it is no longer about you. It's all about them. And a successful salesman does not go on and on about their situation, their life, you know, this, and the same with Toastmasters. So you might want to say exactly what I was referring to, I did this, I got a promotion on my job, but you don't have to really dwell on it, because you want to tell them the value that you got, but only in terms of what it means for them. It is all about them. I'd like to take just a couple minutes here, if we could, and open the discussion up on terms of value. I don't think anybody has any misunderstandings, but if you do, please ask me and bring it to the group here and we can discuss. If everybody could just take a couple minutes and just quickly jot down or formulate in your head what some of the benefits of Toastmasters that have made it important and relevant in your life. And there's a little place on this screen where you can type in. Please feel free to type in on that. And then we can also open it up to some discussion here by unmuting individuals if we want to open it up to talk. And I'm seeing a question here from Michael Thompson. Michael, you have said, I think you need to tailor your message to the individual. Michael, would you be willing to, if I unmuted you, would you be willing to speak?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Michael.
Okay. Hi. What I posted that to you when you were talking about talking about the fun that might be in Toastmasters, and I think that there are that it's important that we tailor our message to the individual. So if you're talking to somebody who is maybe they're looking for something more social in their life, and they're not as much interested in the career benefits of a program like Toastmasters, then we should talk about the fun. But
yes, I think I do agree with you, and I don't think perhaps I overstated it. I would caution that sometimes people who are just looking for fun may not be the strongest members in your club. And I just throw that out as a caution. And I will offer a complete disclaimer that makes me a liar. I am a retired person. I am not looking for any career advancement. There is none to be had. And in fact, the very first meeting I went to 7-8 years ago, a friend invited me and said, "Oh, it'll be fun and we can go out for, a snack afterward." So yeah. You are 100% correct that it shouldn't be all serious. And I think we can, now that we've opened up the discussion on this, on the value, when we come to the next stage where we're going to talk about identifying how to speak to an individual, your point will become more valid and more clear then. But thank you very much for bringing that up, Michael. Does anybody else have any questions at this point? Hearing none, I'm going to move on here. And I think this reinforces actually what Michael was saying here, is that value selling is all about listening, which comes back to putting it onto what the potential member has to say. And if you think of successful salesmen, they don't do all the talking. They get you to talk. And if somebody comes into your club as a guest some evening, what do you do? Whether you're the member sitting next to them, whether you're the sergeant at arms who has greeted them, whether you're the vice president membership, whatever, you generally ask them, once you get past the name, why they have come, what they're looking for. And once you get that answer, then you can narrow it down. If they say, "Oh, I want to use this on my job," well, then what's the next question you're going to ask? What do you do? Where do you work? And the more questions that you ask that are open-ended questions, the more they have the chance to speak. the more they're telling you what they're looking for. An interesting statistic is that about 60% of a sale is already completed once the customer walks in the door. So this means that somebody who has come into your Toastmasters club is more likely to join. They're they're prejudiced in favor of joining. They've already made the step. So that's a little bit different than if you're talking to the man or woman in the cubicle next to you at work and you're trying to suggest to them almost as a cold call why it would be valuable. In that case, it's a little tougher sell, but the same principle holds. You listen to what they say and you can deduce from that what they are looking for, and then you can give them the answer. Now, it could be if they are looking for tips on, the best bet at the racetrack, that you're not going to be able to find that Toastmasters is the appropriate answer for that. And there are those situations, of course, but primarily we are selecting people if it's somebody in the cubicle next to you, or if it's somebody who walks into your meeting, that they are looking for something in the general range of Toastmasters and what we offer. So as you listen and as you respond, think about, why is this purchase in the customer's best interest? That's a very loose statement. What we really want to say is, why is joining Toastmaster in this person's best interest? And if your prospective customer purchases your offer, i.e., if this guest or friend or coworker becomes a member, how will they benefit? And that comes back to, what is the value? What is the gain? What is the worth? Now, I'd like to open up here to some discussion. If people have questions, type something in the box. If you have comments, I think it would be great if we shared some of our opinions on what the value of Toastmasters has been to us. If anybody would like to initiate or say something, please feel free. Just type into the chat box and then we can unmute you, or if you're more comfortable just unmuting yourself and shooting out a question or a comment, that's fine too. Hearing none. I look forward, I guess, to working with you all. And if you have any questions, shoot me emails, drop me a line. You can also reach us through our D45 Toastmasters website if you have any questions. And I look forward to hearing and seeing everybody on our next webinar. And I'm seeing actually Chris Oliverio has a question.
Hi.
Yes.
So I have a.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. We're a closed club business, a company corporate type club where we're a defense company at BAE Systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a meeting coming up with our labor people because we want to incorporate Toastmasters into in their objectives and allow people to be able to attend while they're getting, paid by the company. So the person in our labor group has already made the determination that they feel that Toastmasters is a personal development and not a professional development.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to make it up to the supervisor at their discretion. If they feel that they have an employee that works with them that could benefit from the tools provided by Toastmasters, that they would incorporate Toastmasters into their objectives and then allow them to set some goals, say, 2 speeches a year and actively involved with Toastmasters. But, so Tuesday we have a meeting with this labor person to convince them that this is really a professional development tool or asset to the company. And is there like any, maybe it's like brochures or anything out there that says, that maybe ask like questions? Are you not comfortable at public speaking? Do you have a hard time getting in front of talking to people, right? And if you've answered yes to any of these questions, then Toastmasters maybe be of value to you, that we can then give to a supervisor and say, do you have employees that meet any of this criteria? Because if you do, then maybe they're a good candidate for Toastmasters. Because we feel that if we can get the supervisor.
Right, and I understand exactly what you're trying to look for here, and I have to tell you I do not have an answer off the top of my head, but let me look around at the resources that we have. You might look yourself on the Toastmasters International website and see what kind of literature there is on there, and I'll send you, I'll email you what I find, if I find anything on that. One note that I should mention is that here in District 45, we do have, we are currently working with, we have a new person coming in to help with the marketing related specific to corporate clubs. And unfortunately, Chris, you're about a month ahead of us, because we hope to have some stuff that is individually tailored to District 45 corporations. But you might check on, as I said, toastmasters.org, and I'll look around and I'll get you what I can find.
Jonathan?
We've printed out. Okay, go ahead.
Chris, I think if you take a look at the competencies that one develops through working through pathways, pretty well all of those competencies are directly related to professional development. And if you look at what competencies your company is looking for in employees, you're going to be able to draw a direct line between a lot of the competencies as far as soft skills, obviously not, technical competencies, but when it comes to skills like time management, leadership, various things such as that, you're going to be able to draw a direct line between those skills and the competencies that one develops in, or can develop in pathways. So I think that can help you make the case that this is professional development. It's not just personal development.
Right.
A couple of points I wanted to make is, and these relate to educational sessions that were done at the international conference. And that is, first of all, Pat Johnson did a presentation on how to build corporate clubs, and she has published a booklet on the approach that she is promoting. And I was quite impressed with it in terms of how to recoach the terminology we use into something that corporate people can buy into. So if you don't have the conference on demand, it's not that expensive, and I would highly recommend taking a look at Pat's presentation, especially if you're trying to work in a corporate environment. The other thing is that there was a presentation done by Eldana Luis Fernandez at the conference. She was talking about how to negotiate. But one of the things that she mentioned during her presentation that I thought was really insightful is that one of the questions you should ask somebody during a negotiation is there any reason you can't? And I really liked it, because what it did is it turned the normal question around and forced people to disconnect from their regular thought processes, so that instead of saying, well, will you join, you say, is there any reason why you can't join? And so those are a couple of things that are worth thinking about. And like I said, both of those presentations are available through Toastmasters On Demand for the just past conference.
Okay, great. I appreciate that.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Heather, for this suggestion, because I think with Pathways is very much directed to professional and corporate interests, and things that would be of use from a business perspective.
Okay, I printed out some literature on, what are the benefits, or what does one get out of Toastmasters, which we're going to bring with us. But I'll look and see if there's anything on Pathways showing.
Yeah, you might want to, because as Heather mentioned, the competencies, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Heather, but it's something like 330 competencies that are part of the Pathways program. And surely if the number is that high, that a lot of those would directly apply to a corporate situation.
Yeah,
Right.
and is that number in excess of 300?
Okay. Yeah, I could play that into internal. We have an acronym called HEAT, and the first H is human capital, and it's investing in our employees to make sure they're engaged, and we could play off of that as well, that the company has a goal to engage and invest in their human capital, their employees, and this is definitely one way at a very low cost, and it's done on site. It's reoccurring. So I'm going to use those benefits against some of our one-time. We have like a 4-hour training on, public speaking, and then the people go away, and if they use or don't use it, it's now reoccurring, and it's not in a nurturing, developing type of environment. So we're going to use those as well as being benefits that we'll have over traditional training that we've done in the past.
Chris, do you currently have a corporate club, or you're trying to get one started?
Oh, we have one.
Okay, good. One of the things, one of the other region advisors talked about that I really liked when talking to companies about trying to make sure you keep the club at 20 is to talk about lost opportunities. In that here you've got these number of people that are developing these competencies, and the company is losing out on people not developing them because they're not a member of Toastmasters. So that they should always be ensuring that the club is at least at 20, if not more, so that they're minimizing their lost opportunities. Kind of goes along somewhat with what Mike was talking about the can't. Is there any reason you can't do it? But when you can give examples of how employees who are members have benefited and how they've been able to use that, then why can't everybody else get that same benefit from it, type of thing?
Right. Okay. That's a great point. I like that because we have, several hundred employees at one site, and we have 20 members, that there are a lot of opportunities there for people to be able to join. And a lot of it is we do it at lunchtime during the day. So people have a hard time. It's, they have a half-hour lunch. The rest of the time is on their own. That we're trying to get the company to kind of back the employee by saying, we'll pay you the other half hour to go, or if that's what's needed to happen, to encourage people to be engaged instead of being, I don't want to stay an extra half hour later than I already am, and everything's busy. And if it's on their objectives and they're being held to it internally, and the supervisors seeing benefit afterwards, then, and plus it's our time. We have a board that we're doing this kind of on our own time, and it's very difficult to do with the constraints we have. So we're trying to get our management to back us to be able to run the club as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck with it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate everyone's input and help. And I'll definitely take a look at pathways and the on-demand. So, and I'll report back on how we make out.
Yes, that would be very valuable for all of us. Of course, we can blithely say we wish you success, but we really do wish you success. And then we love to hear how it worked so that we can take those practices on ourselves.
Yeah, we'll be seeing Lori Menard. She'll be visiting our club soon. We can give her an update at that time too.
Great.
We're just to give a little background. We're in a little bit of a unique situation. We have a club in Austin, in our Austin site, and they started well before us, and we used their framework to start our club. And we got a budget from our leadership, the site leadership, to be able to pay for half the membership and other costs that are associated with running the club. So the company is already investing. So, and I'm sure this person that works in labor doesn't realize this, that we're being backed by the leadership because they believe it is a professional development as well. So that we're going to leverage on that as well during our discussion, because we do have a yearly budget they allow us for to buy supplies and a meeting place and everything. But I appreciate everyone's time, and I'll give the floor back.
This is Mike Thompson again. Do you have, is there somebody in your senior executive that is actually sort of, supporting this? Because if you do, then, maybe they you could approach them to see if they could reinforce the importance of this type of thing with your HR people.
Yeah, we do. He's the one that actually called the meeting with this person, so we can get together and he can present his part or input based on the support that he's given us.
Okay, because that nothing lights a fire under a bureaucrat's behind, like having a somebody who is perceived to have power. Directing them.
Yeah, this is our senior site exec that is calling the meeting with the labor person. So he's tried to do it through email, and we asked him to call a meeting. Let's sit at a table. It's in his office, actually, in the senior site exec's office. So hopefully we can leverage off of those things and have a positive outcome.
Yeah, that's great, because seriously, in my experience is that these people, they have their little niche, and but to get people moving, you need somebody further up the food chain to sort of stir the pot.
Oh, I'm not going at this alone. I definitely need our financial backers. This is the guy that gives us the budget. So there's got to be a reason why he's doing that. So, and he's already voiced to us he agrees it's a professional development.
The other thing, Chris, if you made contact with anybody in the club in Austin, like if you talked to any members there in that club?
We have, and the club's a little different because it's not a solely corporate club, because where they meet is in a common area, so they have both employees and non-employees in their club. Where we don't have that availability at our site. So we're solely an employee, but our numbers are decent at 20. But there's a lot of moving parts to it. But we've talked to them about, have they had any experience with, labor and charging time, and they just really take it on their own time, and they meet out of work.
Right. Okay.
We've discussed those options, but we've taken a poll, and we feel our membership will drop if it's after work. Yeah. Because people work 9-10 hour days and they don't want to stay longer or go to another location. They like the benefit of being able to stop what they're doing, lunchtime, eat lunch, attend a meeting, and participate it that way.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Chris. Any further comments, discussions, questions?
Hi, my name is Joe. I'll give a comment.
Hi, Joe.
Hi. So we're going over some of the budget issues, and it seems like when we're selling these memberships, are there ways that we can look to corporate Toastmasters about like getting some sort of bonus for signing up new members? Has anyone had any experience with that?
There are companies that do that, Joe, but again, it's based on an individual, not necessarily for signing up, but what some companies do is they give a bonus when somebody achieves a certain level. Now, I don't know what they're going to do now with the change to pathways, but McGraw-Hill, for example, they have a number of clubs across the country, and when you got your competent communicator designation, you got $1,000 bonus.
Okay.
So I know that one of the IBM campuses somewhere in the States, not in our district, but somewhere else, we're giving, I think it was in District 31 in Massachusetts, we're giving bonuses when people achieved a CC. So there are things that, you know, some companies are obviously valuing it enough to see the value of giving a bonus when somebody's achieved a certain milestone. I don't know of any that give any type of bonus for a member joining. They want to see, I think they want to see some results first.
Okay, because in my club, I think that one of our strong suits is we have a larger number of people than some other clubs at each meeting. Like I've been to some daytime clubs that are like 10 people, and we're usually 20 or more. So I think we're bringing in more members, and I'm thinking that maybe that's unique. Does that sound unique to you?
Again, it varies with the club. Now, so are you a community club?
I'm not sure if there's exact qualifications, but we're a nighttime operating club.
Open to anybody.
Open to anyone, yeah.
That's generally what we call a community club.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it varies with the membership. Clubs that have a larger membership will tend to have around the 20 there. If you've only got 20 members, then most clubs will have, you know, say 14, 15 at a meeting. There's always a certain percentage that's not there at any given meeting. I mean, I think it can be a selling point for your club in that it gives you greater diversity. It gives you greater role, like a greater number of people doing different things so that members are seeing more variety, having more people that they can draw experiences from and everything, learn, you know, have more people to learn from. You know, if you've got only 10 people there on a regular basis, you're not going to see perhaps as much diversity in the way people approach things and whatnot. So your new member is going to have a more limited learning opportunity potentially. So by having a large number there, it gives them potentially more opportunity. So as I say, you could certainly use that as a selling point.
Okay, thank you. One other question. For specialty clubs, like corporate clubs, for example, they have been very similar to community clubs. are there clubs that are operating that we would either refer people to or try to emulate some service to that are like business presentation oriented, where they're gaining some sort of like particularly employable skill?
In our district, I'm not sure that we have any that are particularly like that. I know there are a number of specialty clubs in other parts of the organization. Like there's one specialty club that I know of that they focus on improv. Another one focuses on comedy generally. So, you know, one could focus on giving specifically business presentations if you've got enough people that would be interested in doing that. There's really no limit on that as to what it could be, but the main thing is to get the club going, you've got to have 20 people that have that interest.
Okay, so when in dealing with member questions, it would be like, oh, okay, so do I send you to the website? Do I have these clubs memorized? You know, what is my referral process there?
Yeah, basically you have to kind of know the clubs that are around you. The website will tell you whether it's an open or a closed club. It doesn't tend to tell you, it will tell you that it may be an advanced club. It doesn't tell you necessarily that it focuses on a particular thing. Your best bet would be to talk to your area director. If you've got somebody that's looking for a particular type of thing, your area director would know the clubs the best in your area and would be able to tell you whether there is anything that might meet that person's needs.
Okay, that sounds good.
Joe, I just want to add one thing on that, supplemental to what Heather said. You could also post on our District 45 Facebook page and post the question of, let's say we're looking for a club that focused on comedy, and you're not aware of any, and you check with the area director and look around and you don't find anything, put it on the district Facebook page as a question, because then, you know, you're reaching all of our members.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Okay, we are probably about time to wrap up here. I thank everybody. If you do have any questions, this is kind of the last call for it. And I thank you all for participating. I wish everybody tremendous success. I do have to do a little commercial here. We are 1/3 of the way through September, and this is the Smedley membership campaign time, and reminding you that there are rewards, and you can have your cake and eat it too if you get 5 members between August 1st and the end of September. So I encourage everybody to really push. This is a much better time of year to build your clubs than it is at the end of the year when you've got 7 or 8 DCP points, but you don't have your 20 members. Build your membership now. The rest will flow much easier. And of course, too, just a reminder that this is dues collection month, and that your dues must be submitted by the end of this month to Toastmasters International. On that note, thank you, everybody, and I look forward to, I am seeing Shane wants to say something.
No, I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and I want to thank you, Jonathan, for putting on this presentation. I thought it was an excellent opportunity to share and compare. And that's about it.
Great. Thank you very much, Shane. And good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Good night.
Good night.